guys, it's Julia, and today I'm going to be doing my December wrap-up and my January TBR. So, I actually ended up getting quite a few books done this month. About my average. But I actually ended up cramming those into a little over a week, which I don't know why I did that, but I basically didn't read for the first 2 weeks of the month. I think I started a few books and just didn't finish them, and then kind of saved up my reading power for the holiday readathon, which was the readathon that Jasmine over at Novel Thoughts hosted, and I helped co-host along with some other booktubers. I ended up getting a total of 4 books finished during the readathon and about half or 3/4 of another book, but didn't finish that book. I was really happy with the amount that I got done in it was a little over a week. It was like 9 days. I don't think I've ever read that much in 9 days, but I'm super excited about it, and I'm going to share the books that I did finish during the readathon and the book that I read half of during the readathon, and then the books that I plan on reading in January. Okay, so the first book that I read for the readathon was Empress, which was for the read a book with a metallic cover, and I don't actually have the physical book. I listened to it on audiobook. I have Diabolic, which is the first book in the trilogy. I believe it's going to be a trilogy. I really liked Diabolic. I think I ended up giving it a 3.5 or 4-star rating, and then I read Empress and just loved it. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars or 4.5 star rating. It was just so good, and I'm so glad that I read it. Diabolic was not supposed to actually be more than just one book, but they ended up turning it into a trilogy because it was so popular, maybe? I don't know, and S.J. Kincaid just decided that she had more to tell, and I'm so glad that she did because I really enjoyed that book. So the next book I read for the readathon was Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge, which was what I read for a fairy tale retelling, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I loved this. I've had it on my bookshelf forever, and I thought this would be a good one to read for the readathon because I have had it on my TBR for so long, and again, I just really enjoyed it, and I think I gave this one a 4.5 star rating too. It just was such a cool, different twist for a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I really like because I've read a couple Beauty and the Beast retellings. Just the author, the way that she wrote in this was really good. There was a lot of things that you had to really pay attention to get the story. Like, there was a lot of build up to understand everything, but I think that the author did a really good job of doing it. It was really great. The next book that I read, and I read in one day, was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It was so good. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. I can't believe I put it off this long, but I watched the movies and just had no desire to read the book because I saw the movie, and I just can't read the book after I watch the movie normally. But I read this and really enjoyed it. It was a lot different than what I expected, and I still really love the movie, but the book is so much better than the movie, and I started the second one, which I'll talk about in my January TBR coming up, but yes, 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. And I read that for a book that a friend recommends because everybody recommends that I read that book. The next book that I read was Snow Like Ashes. I had originally changed my mind and was going to do a different book for this challenge. I was going to read, I can't remember the title of it, but this was my original book that I wanted to read, then I changed it, and then I ended up changing it back, and so I read this book, and it was so good too. All of the books that I read for the readathon mostly were just amazing. They were so good, and I really enjoyed them, which is probably why I read these so fast, and I ended up reading so many in the 9 days that we did the readathon, but I cannot wait to read the second book of this. Every element of the magic in this was really cool. The main character was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. There was a little bit of a I saw this coming moment. Like, I knew it was going to happen from the beginning of the book, but I still really liked it, and even though that was just such a little part of the story that it just really didn't bother me that much, but it was really good. The last book that I was reading for the readathon is Keeper by Kim Chance, and I was reading this for the challenge of read a book you got as a gift, which I technically got as a gift because it's an ARC, so I got it from the author. I am not enjoying this book, so it is taking me forever to get through it. I actually did start this a little bit before the readathon, and it is just taking me so long to get through it because I just don't like it. I really am not enjoying it, which I will do a review on it and tell you guys more about it. Now, I have heard from other readers that they didn't really like the first part of the book, but then the ending kind of made up for it. But for me, I'm kind of like a person that doesn't really like a story to drag the whole story and then the ending be good. It doesn't usually make up for the rest of the story for me, but we'll just kind of see how it goes. I do like the plot idea for the story. I just am not really liking how the story is executed, but I will talk more about that in my review once I finish this book. I really do like this cover though. Okay, so that is it for my wrap up. I'm going to do a TBR too, and I'm going to try to do it pretty fast because this video is already 8 minutes long, and I don't think that everybody's going to want to watch it for 20 minutes. So I'm just going to get right into the TBR for January, and I'm just not going to really like go into a lot of what they're about, just going to tell you what I'm planning on reading. Okay, so the first book that I am currently reading is a book that I got for Christmas, and that is An Enchantment of Ravens, and I'm already about a quarter of the way through it and really like the direction of the story. The author is really amazing at explaining or putting like a vision in your head, and I just love the writing in this. It's so good. So I'm really excited to see where this takes me. So far I'm getting a lot of like ACOWAR vibes or ACOTAR vibes from it, so I'm excited to finish it. It's really not a huge book, so I think that I'll finish it in the next couple days. I just started it yesterday. The next book I want to read is Warcross by Marie Lu. This has some kind of video game aspect in it. I'm not really sure a lot about it, but I know that it's getting a lot of really raving reviews and it's just really hyped right now. And I've never really read anything that takes place in like a video game, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how I like it. And I just love the cover of this. It's so simple but so amazing at the same time. And like I wouldn't really think video game when I see it. I mean, I guess because it's like kind of codey, but I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna really, I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but you catch my drift. Okay, next is a book that I kind of started. I'm like on chapter 2, and that is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I'm so excited to read this. I know that I'm just going to love it because I loved the movie and I loved the first book, so I just know that this is going to be amazing. I actually enjoyed the Chamber of Secrets movie more than the Sorcerer's Stone, so I'm hoping that I like this book even more than I liked the first book, which isn't really possible because you can't give a 5.5 star rating on Goodreads, but you know, you catch my drift. The next book that I am going to be reading this month is an ARC, and that is The Continent, which I've talked about this in my ARC book haul that I did a few videos ago by Kiara Drake, and I'm really excited for this. It sounds so adventurous and cool and different, not like anything I've ever heard of before, with like adventure and adventurous craziness, and I just cannot wait to read this because I've said it 20 times, so we all know that it must be true. Next, I've decided that I want to read a lot more graphic novels this year. I read the whole Saga series, and I loved it. It was so amazing, but I've read a couple other graphic novels like Monstrous and Vision and The Wicked and the Divine, and I really just didn't care for them very much. So I'm kind of on a search for a really good graphic novel. So if you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them because I'm all for some graphic novel recommendations. But one that one of my friends recommended to me was Fables. And so I love fairy tales, and this is kind of like a graphic novel fairy tale retelling kind of deal. So I can't wait to read it. The only thing that I don't really care for already with this is it's more of like a comic booky feel as far as the illustrations go. In like Saga and Monstrous and stuff, they had these beautiful illustrations that really caught my eye and my attention. So with this one I don't really care as much for the illustrations for this one, so that's why it's taken me so long to actually pick it up. But I'm hoping that I'll really enjoy the story in this because I love fairy tales. I just love them. Next, I am going to be reading Children of Blood and Bone, which is an ARC that I received from Macmillan, and this is another story where the main character sounds like such a badass, and I just really want to get to know this character because tracking down magic and trying to get it back for her people, and it's supposed to have a lot of important topics covered in this book, and I am not excited about the size of this book per se, especially because I can't listen to it on audiobook, but I am excited to read this book and hear this story and listen to the cool, or get to know this awesome main character that's supposedly in the story, along with hear the story that is being brought to us. The story has been very hyped up so far already. Like, people are really excited for this, so I want to know what the hype is about. I want to get it, guys. I want to know. And the last book that I plan on reading for the month of January is The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, because damn guys, the illustrations in this are cool. This book looks so cool, and I kind of read like a couple pages of it already, and it's just cool. It's like fairy tale retellings that are set in the Grisha world universe, which I'm so excited for. I haven't read anything by Leigh Bardugo. I mean, I did read Six of Crows, but I only read like half of it, which I do want to reread because I'm not sure what I was missing with it, but I didn't like it. So anyway, I am excited to read this because the illustrations in this are beautiful. This book is just beautiful all around, and like I said, I love fairy tales, so any kind of fairy tale retelling I am all about. This has been extremely hyped up, so I want to read it and see if it's worth the hype. And honestly, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep trying to read Leigh Bardugo. I so far am just a little nervous about Leigh Bardugo, but we'll kind of see. I own a lot of Leigh Bardugo books because I own all of the Grisha trilogy books. I own Six of Crows, and I own Wonder Woman, and I own The Language of Thorns, but I've only read half of one of her books. So that tells you anything about my book buying habits. Anyway, so I just want to hold this by my face because it's so pretty and it looks so cute in my video. Anyway, so that is really it for this video. I would love to hear the books that you're planning on reading in the month of January, and I'd also love to hear the books that you have read this past month, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!